guys, welcome back to another Warframe video where today we are going to be talking about Railjack. Now Railjack is one of the mission types in Warframe that I find particularly boring. After you've kind of done the first few bits of Railjack, it's very repetitive and you just do the same things over and over again. And although the devs have kind of changed the style of Railjack since its release, I actually think I preferred the previous one, which was basically just blow the hell out of everything. But today, I just want to run through the build that I like to use in my Warframe Done Efficiently series. Bear in mind that this build is personal to me. You can use whatever you want and whatever you are comfortable with in these missions. This is just the build that I have settled on for this particular playthrough. Feel free to swap around mods as you choose. I should also point out as well that the build I'm going to show you, it is quite expensive and it's also zero former. So the Plexus element of this build is zero former. All the mods that I've put on here fit within the normal capacity of the Plexus itself, so you shouldn't need to former if you want to follow this build. However, if you wanted to fit on some different mods, perhaps higher damage mods, then you will need to former. So yeah, let's take a quick look and see what we are working with. So here is the general Plexus build here. We are kind of revolving around high speed and high ordnance and artillery damage. So we've got on stuff like conic nozzle. We've got ion burn for extra boost speed. And then everything else here, quick lock for ordnance time, ordnance cheap shot for having a chance to not use ordnance munitions, warhead for increased ordnance damage. We've then got artillery cheap shot as well, just in case, you know, we're happening to need to kill quite a few cruise ships. This is very useful, especially if you're playing in solo, which we are going to be. I've then got Ironclad Matrix on. Now you can swap this out for whichever, you know, aura mod that you want here, whichever you're more comfortable using. The reason that I am using 22.5% hull and armor and 25.5% max shields and shield regen is simply due to the combination of parts that I'm going to be using on my Railjack, which we'll take a look at in a second. It basically makes it completely useless using Onslaught Matrix or, you know, any of these other ones really. So Ironclad Matrix for that extra hull and armor is a bit more important for the particular build that I am running. So let's take a look at the battle mods here. I've got Munitions Vortex on. This is kind of a, you know, sub out for whatever you want. I don't often use Munitions Vortex, and you could probably put on something like Countermeasures if you want. But yeah, for now, I'm just leaving that on there. Shatterburst, this is really good actually for taking out radiators. So when you come to do an objective in a mission, you can actually use this and just fire it straight at the rock. It will release a really widespread amount of charges. They will then destroy the radiators that come out of the objectives, rather than you having to fly around and kill them that way. So this is quite a useful tool sometimes, but again, you may not see me using that all that much, especially in solo. If you're in a squad, this is actually a much more useful tool because someone will stay on the ship and they will then go ahead and, you know, rain fire on the objective to kill the radiators. But yeah, that's what I like to put in the second slot. And then Seeker Volley, really, really important mod. This is basically what's going to be doing the majority of our damage. So definitely stick that on there. Would recommend. It's going to be just destroying everything, even on the higher levels. What we're going to do for this particular video is we'll do a Grineer mission in Void and also a Corpus mission in Void, just to show you kind of the different ways to do things. So yeah, again, another really nice tool that you should definitely get your hands on for doing Railjack. One of the earliest mods you should be sticking on. And then tactical wise, we've got battle stations, flow burn for extra speed, and breach quanta to stall hull breaches for 45 seconds. So battle stations giving us an extra 65% damage on our turrets for 26 seconds. It's a nice little tool. I tend not to use these all that much, to be honest, because the missions go by just fine by themselves. If you're in a squad, you can use form up if you want to. Even just a normal 0 leveled one is completely fine. It's really your choice on this. So yeah, that's what I'm running though. So let's also just take a look. I want to just point out at this point that I do have all intrinsics. If you are just starting out in Railjack, and obviously you're on kind of Earth nodes, then I would recommend kind of speccing into each one in turn, but probably focus a bit more on command early on. Having extra crewmates is actually very useful if you are just specifically doing Railjack missions. So go into command first, I would say. Get yourself a crewmate, so your first crew member, and then stick them on the guns, and then start speccing into the other ones equally so that you can get, you know, up to 7 across the board. So rank 7 on each of these ones will allow you to access every node on the Railjack map. So that's kind of how you want to be playing it. For your Railjack crew, when you get to the point of having 3 members, I would recommend having 1 engineer, 1 gunner, and 1 on-call defender. So the defender is kind of the, he's the guy with the most damage. He's walking around killing all of the boarding parties if they happen to appear. Hence, he's also my on-call crewmate, which you unlock at rank 9, I believe, of command. I think, yes. So yeah, definitely the one to have on-call as well, because he's obviously going to do the most damage. Plus 200% damage, and then I've given him plus 50% efficiency, endurance, all that good stuff. So a nice little crewmate to have. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend putting a crewmate as your pilots because unfortunately they're just not very clever. If they could take out the objectives, then it would be just great. But unfortunately they can't do that. So best to have 1 engineer, 1 gunner, and 1 defender. That's how I'm running this, at least anyway. And then put on whatever high-ranked weapons you can afford to put on here. I could probably swap these out now, actually. But yeah, completely fine either way. Let's take a look now at the ship itself. So components-wise, I am running a Zetki shield array, VDAR engines Mark III, VDAR plating Mark III, and a Zetki reactor Mark III. So if we actually take a look at what those provide, you can see that the Zetki shield array, 1500 shield capacity, so very low, with also a reduced shield regeneration delay, and 12% shield regeneration per second. But the Railjack deals increased damage by 25% when the shields are depleted, so that is simply what we're aiming for. We want our shields to be out of action basically all the time, so we can get that extra 25% damage boost. For the engines, you can see boost speed increased by 50% when shields are depleted. So again, we're working off of the basis that our shields are going to be down, so we get massive boost speed off of having no shields on our engines. And then also our plating, just, basic VDAR plating. To be honest, this doesn't matter all that much, I've found. If you want more, you can go Levan plating. That's fine, but, for this build, I've just stuck on VDAR plating. It really doesn't make a whole load of difference, to be honest. And then, yeah, Zetki reactor, if we take a look here. Plus 60% battle mod strength and plus 25% battle mod range. So that's really important for our Seeker Volley, as we mentioned earlier, which is going to be our primary tool for destroying things. It's a really, really, probably the best reactor to have on, to be honest, just for that reason. So definitely get your hands on this. Weapons-wise, this really does come down to personal preference, but these are the weapons that I like to use. So we've got Zetki Talin Mark III, Zetki Talin Mark III again on the gunner's port, and then a Tycho Seeker Mark III for our ordnance. Now, the Tycho Seeker Mark III is probably the only rocket launcher that can take down Grineer cruise ships' shields in one shot. So I would recommend researching this or trying to get your hands on it if you can through Clan Dojo. I'm not sure if you can get your hands on this just through the relays. I'll have to check. But yeah, definitely something to get hold of if you're planning to do the higher level missions solo. It's very important for taking down cruise ship shields. Yeah, that's what I was getting at. So these I've just gone and put on heat for now. You can see they're just stacking up. And if you wanted to put on, the extra damage to faction mods on your Plexus, then by all means do so if you know which one you're going to be going against. This is more of a general build to me, so yeah. I think that's kind of it, guys. So what we'll do, we'll hop into a couple of Railjack missions now, just to demonstrate this build in action and how to kind of run a mission on solo, and then we will round out the video there. Alright, guys, so for this video, we are going to be doing 2 missions, just to demonstrate kind of how to use your Railjack in each type. So we're going to do 1 Grineer, 1 Corpus. The Grineer one we're going to do is R9 Cloud, which is located in Vale Proxima. This is your standard skirmish Railjack mission, whereby you will take down a load of fighters, a load of cruise ships, and then probably have to do 2 objective missions, which will either be going in to a platform, exposing some radiators, destroying them, and then destroying the platform. Or perhaps you'll have to kill a Grineer commander, something along those lines. So that's the first one we're going to do. The second one we're going to do is going to be Sabmir Cloud, which is a Corpus Railjack mission. It's a spy, so it's nice and fast, which makes it probably quite a good one to do for this video. But yeah, basically we'll run through obviously the first few steps, killing the fighters, killing the cruise ships, doing any of the previous objectives that we need. And then we'll obviously go in, disable the platforms, expose the radiators, stuff like that on R9 Cloud. So yeah, that's what we'll be doing to begin with. But before we get into that, let's just hop into the build I've got here. And I'm using Wukong. You can use whatever frame you are comfortable with. However, Wukong I find to be, very fast for doing these missions when you actually get inside. He has great endurance and vulnerability, all of the above, and he has a decent sized energy pool, which is very important. Now, I do have one Asia Archon shard here, just a normal one with plus 50 energy max. This is going to tip my energy pool when I have primed flow on over the 600 mark. Now, my Seeker Volley is using 150 energy each time I use it, so straight off the bat, with preparation on, I'm going to be able to use 4 Seeker Volleys without any trouble. So it's a very useful tool to have just that extra Archon shard on Wukong. However, you can run something like Nova or Volt where your energy pool is considerably larger, and therefore, you can use probably more Seeker Volleys to begin with than Wukong can. But again, Wukong has a very nice kind of set of abilities to use for Railjack missions. So yeah, this is what I'm running. It's basically just built around a duration, efficiency, and then just equal strength. Range does not matter at all. I've got Nullifier and Energize on so that I don't run out of energy at any point. Anything else is completely up to you what you want to put on here. It is a zero former build, so you could former this and make it a lot better if you want to. But yeah, this is what I'm running. I would also recommend running Zanuric as well, as whilst you're in your Railjack, you can use a Wellspring underneath you to keep your energy up nice and high. And as I said, this is going to be important for being able to use Seeker Volley to destroy any enemies. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump into the first mission, which is R9 Cloud. Alright guys, so we're just coming into the mission here. What you want to do as soon as you arrive is just get into your operator as soon as you can. We can't actually do it at the moment. There's a bit of a delay between when you actually start the mission and when you can get into operator. But I'm just casually clicking 5 here until I can. There we go. I'm going to put down a Wellspring here, reinforced or hardened, sorry, if you can afford it. Then we'll jump into the cockpit and start using our Seeker Volley to just kind of annihilate enemies whilst we gradually move towards the objective. You can use your turrets just to clean up any excess enemies so that you don't end up using too much energy. So let's just kind of keep moving forward. More enemies are spawning, so we can go ahead and do that. What you can also do, you can go into your L here, or your, tactical command station. We're going to activate battle stations and flow burn for extra speed and damage. We got ourselves a cruise ship here without a shield. So we'll hop straight into our artillery. And we're going to aim for one of the side engines. Whoops. Not like that, we're not. So somewhere around here is good. And there we go. Cruise ship destroyed in one shot. And then we can continue taking out enemy targets here. Using our third ability. This one does have a shield, so we're going to go ahead and use our ordnance to take that out, like so. Then we'll jump back into our gun, or our artillery, and take it out like that. And we're just going to rinse and repeat this throughout the whole mission, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and just speed up the footage until we actually get to doing the objectives. Okay, so it seems we've actually run out of things here, so we'll run back and use the forge real quick to make ourselves some more dome charges. We'll do 2 here just because we actually only need 4 more cruise ships. So let's get 4 dome charges. We can always use our tactical to head back up to the bridge. Alright, there we go. Didn't get very lucky with artillery cheap shot at all there, but hey-ho. So let's go ahead and do our first objective, which is this guy over here. This is the missile platform, so I'm actually going to park my ship a fair distance away from this, just so that it doesn't die while I'm doing this mission, because the missile platform does actually output quite a bit of damage. So we'll hop into our Arcwing. Not worried about boarding parties, because I've got a Defender crewmate on board who should be able to handle that. And yeah, we're going to use our Wukong's smoke here just to get around nice and fast. Hack that. And then we need to come back outside. Not that way, this way. Oops. There we go. Destroy that radiator. Same again. If you prefer here, you can recall to your Railjack using your Omni, which we will do in a second once we finish this mission. Or this particular objective. So then click your Omni to insta-recall to your Railjack. So that's the first objective done, so let's move on to the next one. So I'm going to park underneath this one. The ship killer one fires a giant laser beam, but it can't hit you if you're underneath the rock. So once again, we are basically going to do the same thing as the previous objective, because we're going to need to expose some radiators. Alright, so the last thing here to destroy. And now we can return to the Railjack. And then you can either carry on from there, or you can go ahead and just return back to the dojo. We're going to return back to the dojo, and then we will do the Corpus mission. So let's just do that real quick. Alright guys, so unlike the Grineer missions, we are not going to have to take out any fighters here. So our Seeker Volley kind of becomes only a clearing tool if things get a bit too hectic. Let's go ahead and use our Flow Burn right now for a bit of extra speed. But we might still have to take out some Corpus cruise ships on this. Unfortunately, we don't have to demonstrate it here, but I think I'll probably just take one out anyway, just to demonstrate how you're supposed to do it. So we're actually going to go around and take out these security nodes to begin with. There are 6. You can use your ordnance to deal damage and one-shot them, so that's one thing to note. And it's probably actually faster than using your weapons, depending on which you are using, although sometimes they do just decide to target something else. So we'll go ahead and take these out with our lasers. Let's try this one. There we go. So that's number 5. Number 6 is probably along here somewhere, I guess. There it is. So let's go ahead and take that out. So now we are able to enter the Corpus Obelisk. So it's a very, very quick mission, considering we just have to do spy. But let's go ahead and demonstrate how you would take down one of these cruise ships on solo, since we don't have a teammate to help us with the Tunguska cannon. And with these cruise ships, you can see that they have a shield that kind of rotates towards wherever they have taken damage from last. Now, if you have a crewmate on your main gun, as I do, then unfortunately there is a high probability that this shield is going to navigate towards you no matter what, because your teammate will just be continually shooting this. If you didn't have a teammate on your gunner, then that wouldn't be a problem. You could just kind of leave that be. But if you wanted to just do this while you have a gunner as well, then what you can do is you can take out the 3 kind of security nodes that are on the cruise ships. So you can see there's one at the top, one in the middle, and one at the bottom. And you can do that using your ordnance. You might want to stand a bit further back, to be honest. You can also use your Seeker Volley to do it as well. That generally tends to work. There we go. So that's all 3 of them down. So I'm just going to hop out of my ship now, as now that those little security nodes are down, we can actually board the ship. So let's go ahead and do that from the back. And this is going to allow us to sabotage the ship from the inside relatively quickly. All we got to do is just activate these 3 panels down here. Like so. And then if we come here, this little bit's going to rise up. And we can go ahead and shoot that in a second. Like so, and then we can get back to our Railjack using the Omni, and that ship will blow up eventually. Now there we go, our Wukong procced his invulnerability. So yeah, that's kind of how you would do it on solo if you had a gunner. It's not that long to kill one. It does take a bit of a while. We're going to go into a breach here, but that's fine. My crewmate should deal with that. So rather than actually just waiting, I'm going to go ahead and enter the obelisk now and just complete the mission. So let's head over there and do that, and then yeah, we'll kind of just round out the video, because the Corpus missions are generally way easier than the Grineer missions, to be honest, so bear that in mind when you are doing this. If you're having to do Corpus missions, you should probably be happy. But if you're farming intrinsics, then I would recommend doing the Grineer missions if you're on solo. If you're on a squad, then perhaps the Corpus survival would be a better shout. And if you haven't seen my what frame for what mission, then you should probably go and look at that, because you'd know that I like to use Wukong to do these, as he is very quick and very agile. And he can just blast his way straight through lasers without setting off any alarms, and it's just brilliant. So yeah, we'll round out the mission here, guys, and then have a bit of a recap afterwards, just to see if we've missed anything. Alright guys, so hopefully that was interesting at the very least. If you guys have any tips and tricks on how you like to play Railjack, or any different builds that you'd like to use, do go ahead and leave those down in the comments below. Would be happy to read through them and try them out for myself. Always looking for new builds and stuff, so yeah, go ahead and do that. If you are looking for like a serious intrinsics farming guide, you kind of just want to run Grineer skirmish missions over and over if you're on solo. They're probably the fastest way to do it. Like I said, if you're in a squad though, you may want to do the Corpus survival tile set. That way you can just go forever until you obviously have enough intrinsic to do whatever you want. And an affinity booster will always help, along with a Smeeta Kavat, which obviously has the chance to give you another double affinity booster, thereby increasing your gain of intrinsics greatly. So do bear that in mind. But yeah, I think we've kind of covered everything I wanted to, so hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. I'll see you later, guys.